Well, we finally got through it. I'm Chris Battle, and sorry for the interruptions, but that also was based on a true story. Here's our director, our wonderful DP, and the guy in the editing room with me. Him primarily at the keyboard, and that's SirJac. If you have any questions,
Was that you on top of the car?
Yes, that was me on top of the car. And I still have scratch marks thanks to her driving.
that's me, that's all.
How was you able to stay on the car?
I'm a crazy man. I'm a crazy man. Seriously, it was a fun movie. It was unexpected. I was coming on originally as a cinematographer, and then I was working with offering some advice and to the actors, and she was kind of impressed, I guess.
I asked him to join us, so absolutely won his love.
Yes.
And he did blow up the car several times. We didn't show you those things. And SirJac is a story. We were filming across the street from my house.
Oh, yeah.
I went to the ladies' room with one of the actresses who had to go, so I brought her back to my house. And while I was gone, and I'll leave that with him because I wasn't there.
Okay. The part that the actor is carrying a stick and runs into the feeding zombies, we kind of were thinking how to approach that because we needed to do that in the open. And we said, okay, what the heck? It was a great space in front of her car. They were building houses again, so we took it all out there. And we kind of got everybody out there at the same time. It was a really hot day, probably about 98 degrees.
Very hot.
And we went to town, and they probably had the nastiest gook, and then I was forcing them to eat the gook off the body.
It was my lasagna, by the way. It wasn't.
I'm sorry. The leftover. So, I'm trying to make it good for that. So while she takes off, and she's a panicker, by the way. So while she takes off, we're completely attacking the zombies and stuff. And all of a sudden, a truck passes by. Stops. And
You know where this is going.
he happened to be an off-duty officer. He comes up and he wants to know what's going on, and I'm like, oh, nothing, we're just filming, it's something. And he's a little concerned because everything looks a little too real and the heads look too busted up. He had already called the cops. Oh. They were on their way. And all of a sudden, as we're like, go back to taking the scene, and we're like totally going all out. Right at the end, when he's carrying the big stick and beat the daylights out of this guy. The cops and the ambulance and the fire department all show up. And he panics and he starts going like, oh my God, the cops are coming. He goes, I don't care, it's the last take, take it, hit him, hit him. Oh, bravo. The direction before the cops arrived and didn't pull out the cops.
He had a holster on his hip and he did not walk up like, hey, is everything okay? He walked up as, is everything okay? I had a stick with nails on it and I was beating the ground next to a guy's head, so I was a little afraid. And when the ambulance with the sirens pulled up, I was like, okay guys, this is just a movie. I didn't know about this.
So it was definitely fate that time took her away, or she would have stopped the production. That's how we got through that.
And by the way, there's Judy Thomas, our wonderful zombie.
Practice.
Angles that you use. How do you decide to do that?
Okay, seriously, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it, is graphic novels and comic books. I literally started, I've been reading comic books, and then I stopped for years. And it took me a long time after film school to get the hang of, I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get the right angles that gave the right effect. And all of a sudden it just hit me one day. It's like, comic books. It's like I always read them. I went back to it and I started applying the techniques. So I realized I started giving it a little more of that energy, that it was just needing a little more artistic creativity. And it was really an experiment in motion because I'd never tried it before. That was was my first attempt at it.
May I ask who did the music?
The beginning or the end?
Incidental music.
Yeah,
Well, we have David Rosen, who did,
Oh, really?
David, where are you? He did the music over the end, he was the Gnarl.
Bravo, David. Did you just give him free rein, or, I mean, it was almost like special effects, the very subtle stuff.
Oh, there was no free rein, this,
No, so you told David what you wanted.
everything is orchestrated,
So
yes.
that's David,
His
but it's
ending
also
music
very
was
much,
completely-
both of you, or?
no, it was completely them on the end. And then the beginning,
That's our
I
lead.
think I was our lead.
No, that was our lead, Ollie Gutman, who played the pregnant housewife.
No, but the choice of such subtle music.
I picked that because it was out of copyright, and it had the right tone.
That was necessity. It's very beautiful.
But it had the right tone, one
And
vacant
it makes it
chair.
a much
Yeah,
better film.
so it matched and it was out of copyright. The song I wanted was still in copyright, so I couldn't get it. Anyhow, that's how that.
Do you have any, it looked as if you had really vastly storyboarded the parts, these shots. You
We
did
did not have
We
a
did
shot
not.
list,
We
we
did
did
not.
not storyboard. That tree happened to be in the desert there, and SirJac saw it and said, oh,
I
perfect.
tend to get quick ideas. Just to let you know, my background comes from being a prison officer. I was 15 years, yes, I was 15 years a prison officer in Soledad, California. And trust me, when I approached riots and when I approached big situations, I always got tunnel vision. So all of a sudden the world went from seeing you guys to this. And I remember seeing through those eyes all the time, no matter what I did. And I would go back and reflect what would happen. And as dangerous as it was when you get tunnel vision, there was this odd perspective of putting you in, you go back and you reflect on the angle, and, oh, that was a weird angle, or that was a weird perspective. So a lot of it has to, just kind of came on the spot. That's why I didn't storyboard it, because of the years of things that I remember seeing in my head just kind of came. We were shot in 2 days, so we were really on time.
Well, principal photography,
Yeah.
but when you don't storyboard, you're doing tons of pickup shots. So
Yeah.
lessons learned, that's why we do it, is to learn lessons, right? To know what not to do next time. Next time there'll be a storyboard.
And by the way, I learned so much from Tobin. Thank you for your awesome examples. No, he doesn't even know this. That I attended a couple of his classes he was giving, and
That's where we
just,
met,
Yeah,
in
just studying the
Tobin,
film
so true.
was just I was inspired by his work.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Trouble with latches.